All right, so are you ready to dive deep into this whole pattern recognition window thing? It's pretty wild.
Yeah,
It's
why?
like there's this secret code to success, like a hidden architecture or something.
Mm.
And get this, we only have a limited time to crack the code.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
Okay, so tell me more about this.
Well, the source material talks about aligning your thinking with these patterns instead of
Instead of what?
just trying to brute force your way through life.
Oh, yeah.
It actually tells this story about Alex and Sarah.
Oh, yeah, I read about them.
They both get jobs at Goldman Sachs right out of Harvard.
Wow.
But Sarah's career just takes off and Alex totally burns out.
Oh, wow.
You know,
That's rough.
yeah, it's a common experience.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that feeling of burning out.
Yeah.
So what was it about Sarah? What was she doing differently?
Well, she talks about recognizing the patterns that are already there
Mhm.
and aligning with them instead of trying to force things to happen.
Okay, so it's like she was working with the system instead of against it.
Exactly. It's like going with the current versus swimming upstream.
Yeah, one is going to be way more effortless than the other.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. But is there any real science behind this?
Oh, absolutely.
Or is this just self-help gurus stuff?
No, this is legit.
Okay.
There's this professor
Oh, really?
at Harvard, Michael Jensen.
Okay.
He's been doing research at the Cognitive Science Lab there.
Wow.
And his team, they found these distinct neural efficiency patterns.
Neural efficiency patterns. What does that even mean?
Well, they've labeled them force, random, and aligned.
Okay, so different ways our brains work.
Yeah, exactly. Different ways our brains process information and make decisions.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these patterns.
Well, imagine they're doing brain scans of CEOs.
Okay.
Making billion-dollar
Oh,
decisions.
high pressure stuff.
And what they see is the aligned pattern lighting up. But the thing is, it looks as calm and collected
Really?
as if they were just taking a walk in the park.
Wow. So their brains are wired for success.
It's like they're wired for success, exactly.
Okay, and what about the rest of us?
Well, most people operate from the force pattern, which...
Which explains why we're all so stressed out.
Exactly. It's like we're constantly pushing and struggling.
Yeah, always trying to force things to happen.
Right, and that leads to burnout.
It's exhausting.
Exactly.
So are you saying there's a better way, a more aligned way to achieve things?
That's exactly what this whole pattern recognition window thing is about.
Oh,
The source material calls it the pattern gap.
oh, interesting.
And it's this growing divide between
Between who?
those who can tap into these patterns and those who can't.
Oh, wow. So some people are naturally better at seeing these patterns.
Well, it's not just about being naturally better. It's
Yeah.
also about how the digital age is rewiring our brains.
Wait, so our brains are actually becoming less capable?
It's like we're overloading our systems
Hmm.
with information and stimulation,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and we're losing the ability to see the underlying structure.
So the patterns are getting lost in all the noise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a limited window of opportunity.
A limited window. How limited are we talking?
15 months?
18 months. That's it.
That's what research suggests.
Wow. Okay, so how do we even know if we have the potential to develop this pattern recognition ability?
That's a great question, and it leads us to something called the recognition code.
Okay, the recognition code, I like the sound of that.
It's basically 3 factors that determine your potential.
All right, lay it on me. What are the 3 factors?
So first you have cognitive flexibility.
Cognitive flexibility, okay.
That's about how adaptable your brain is.
So how easily you can learn new things.
Exactly. How easily your neural pathways can shift gears.
Okay, got it. What's the second factor?
Integration velocity.
Integration velocity. Interesting.
That's about how quickly you can absorb and implement new patterns.
Okay, so once you see them, how fast can you put them into action?
Exactly.
All right, and the third factor.
Well, the third one is the recognition window itself.
Okay, so literally the time we have left to develop this ability.
Exactly. Before the digital age slams that window shut.
Okay, so the clock is ticking.
The clock is definitely ticking.
All right, so let's say I'm listening to all of this,
Mhm.
and I'm like, okay, I'm totally on board, but how do I actually start seeing these patterns?
Well, the source material walks us through Alex's journey.
Okay, what happened with Alex? Did they ever learn to see them?
They did, yeah.
Oh.
Well, they started training with Sarah.
Okay, so Sarah was like their mentor.
Exactly. And it was pretty intense.
Really?
Yeah, they describe it as a hidden image suddenly snapping into focus.
Wow. So it's like they suddenly saw the world in a whole new way.
Exactly.
And how long did that take?
Well, there's this real sense of urgency in the source material.
Okay.
Sarah tells Alex, the next 6 weeks are critical.
Wow, 6 weeks, that's it.
Your brain will either develop stable pattern recognition pathways or lose the capability entirely.
So it's like a use it or lose it situation.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so are there like levels to this pattern recognition thing?
Yeah, the research breaks it down into 3 stages.
Yeah. I'm all ears. Tell me about these stages.
First, you have unconscious detection.
Unconscious detection, okay.
That's where most of us are at.
So we're all unconsciously detecting patterns already.
We are. It's like those moments where things just click.
Yeah, those moments of flow where everything feels effortless.
Exactly.
Okay, what's the second stage?
Conscious recognition.
So you're aware that you're seeing the patterns.
You're actively training your brain to see them.
Okay, and the third stage?
Integrated mastery.
Integrated mastery. So that's like the expert level.
Exactly. It's like second nature to you.
You're just seeing patterns everywhere you go.
You're effortlessly navigating life on a whole new level.
Wow. So that's where Sarah's at. She's not just seeing the patterns, she's leading them.
Precisely. And that's what's so exciting about all of this. It's not just some theoretical concept. This is about upgrading your life, achieving your goals, and maybe even changing the course of human evolution.
Okay, well, hold on. We're talking about evolution now.
We are.
So what are the bigger implications of this?
Well, it goes way beyond just individual success.
Okay.
The source material talks about enhanced decision-making, accelerated learning, even transformed relationships.
Transformed relationships. How so?
Well, think about it. If you can see the patterns in people's behavior, you can communicate more effectively, understand their motivations, build deeper connections.
Like you have a superpower for navigating the human experience.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just about getting ahead, it's about evolving as a species.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really mind-blowing.
Oh, boy.
The research suggests that people who master this, they're not just performing better, they're evolving differently.
What do you mean evolving differently?
Their brains are literally changing.
Really?
Forming new neural structures, expanding their cognitive capabilities.
So they're tapping into a whole new level of human potential.
Exactly.
All right, I am officially blown away.
And there's more.
There's more.
Yeah, the source material talks about a group of 12 individuals.
12 individuals.
Who reach this edge state of pattern recognition.
The edge state, what's that all about?
They're like the cutting edge of this evolutionary leap.
Okay, I need more explanation. What does that even mean?
They've developed the ability to not just see the patterns, but to manipulate them, to influence reality itself.
Hold on, are we talking about superpowers here? This is getting into sci-fi territory.
It's not quite science fiction, but it's definitely pushing the boundaries.
Okay, so these 12 individuals can actually manipulate reality.
The source material suggests they can access and manipulate the underlying architecture of reality.
Whoa, okay, so what does that mean for the rest of us? What are the implications of this?
Well, the source material outlines 2 possible futures.
2 possible futures. Okay, I'm listening.
One where enhanced consciousness becomes the norm.
So everyone's like a pattern master?
Exactly, where humans have access to reality-bending capabilities.
Wow, that's a pretty wild future.
It's both exhilarating and a little bit frightening.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like stepping into the unknown.
Okay, and what about the other future? What does that look like?
The other future is one where we stay locked in our current limitations.
So things basically stay the same?
Yeah, pattern recognition fades and humanity stagnates.
Oh, wow. That's a much less appealing future.
It's a future of diminishing returns and growing inequality.
So we're talking about a choice between transcendence and stagnation then?
We are, and the clock is ticking.
All right, listeners, you heard it here first. It's time to ditch the old paradigm of force and struggle.
Yes.
And step into this new era of effortless achievement.
That's right.
But how do we do that? Where do we even begin?
Well, that's what we'll be diving into in the rest of this deep dive.
All right, folks, stick with us. We're going to unpack all of this and more right after this quick break.
A break? I thought we agreed no breaks.
You're right, my bad. I guess I'm so used to the podcast format, but seriously, folks, no breaks.
Right into the practical stuff.
We've got a lot more to uncover.
So how do we actually ditch that old paradigm?
Yeah, how do we step into this new era of effortless achievement?
Well, it all starts with our brains.
Okay.
Understanding how they're wired and how the digital age is affecting them.
Right, making it harder to see the patterns.
Exactly.
So where do we start?
The source material lays out this development protocol.
A protocol, okay.
It's like a step-by-step guide.
A guide to unlocking those enhanced capabilities.
You got it. And it all starts with observation.
Observation.
Okay. But it's a very specific type of observation.
Like what?
It's about being aware of the patterns that underlie everything.
So like just paying more attention to the world around us.
More than just paying attention, it's a focused awareness. The source material suggests starting with market patterns.
Market patterns? Why market patterns?
Because they're quantifiable
Okay.
and predictable.
So instead of just watching the stock prices go up and down,
Yeah.
you're looking for the underlying forces driving those movements.
Precisely. You're searching for repeating sequences,
Okay.
cause and effect relationships.
So the hidden architecture behind the market's behavior.
Exactly. And once you start seeing those patterns,
Yeah.
you can anticipate future movements, make smarter decisions.
And achieve a level of success that wouldn't have been possible before.
Exactly.
But what about patterns in human behavior?
Yeah.
The source materials talks about that too, right?
It does.
That seems a lot more complex
It is more nuanced.
than market data.
It is, but it's also incredibly rewarding.
Okay, so how do we start seeing patterns in people?
Imagine being able to see the patterns in people's communication styles, their emotional triggers,
Wow, yeah.
their decision-making processes.
So you could basically predict how someone's going to react.
You could anticipate how someone might react.
Yeah.
Understand why they behave in a certain way.
That would be incredible.
It'd be like having a secret decoder ring for human interaction.
Yeah, that would be incredibly valuable in all aspects of life.
Right.
Work, relationships,
Absolutely.
even just understanding ourselves better.
And it doesn't stop there.
Wait, there's more.
The source material says we can even recognize patterns in time itself.
Patterns in time. What does that even mean?
I know it sounds crazy.
It does sound a little crazy.
Yeah, but the idea is that time isn't just linear.
Okay.
It's cyclical.
So like a series of repeating patterns.
Exactly, governing everything.
Wow.
From our personal lives to global events.
Okay, I have to admit, this is starting to sound a little woo-woo to me.
I know it can sound that way.
Are we talking about predicting the future here?
It's not about fortune-telling
Okay.
or like mystical powers or anything.
Good.
It's about understanding the cause and effect relationships that shape reality.
Because once you understand those patterns,
Yeah.
you can make better choices.
You can capitalize on opportunities that other people miss.
And ultimately create a more fulfilling life.
Exactly. And here's the critical part.
Okay.
We still have the ability to do this,
Yeah.
but that window of opportunity is closing.
We got to act fast.
We do.
All right, listeners, you heard it here first. It's time to ditch that old paradigm
Yeah.
of force and struggle.
Let it go.
Embrace this new era of effortless achievement.
Tap into the power of patterns.
Okay, but how do we do that? What are the actual steps?
The source material outlines a 3-phase development protocol.
3 phases, okay.
From basic pattern sensitivity to full-blown reality manipulation.
Hold on, reality manipulation. I thought we agreed no superpowers.
It's not magic.
Okay.
It's science.
Okay, good.
And it starts with understanding how our brains work.
Right.
Remember, the digital age is rewiring our neural pathways.
Yeah, making it harder to see those patterns.
But we can counteract that
Yeah.
by intentionally training our brains to see differently.
Okay, so what's the first step in this brain training boot camp?
Phase 1 is called pattern sensitivity.
Pattern sensitivity, all right.
It focuses on optimizing your neural state.
Optimizing my neural state. What does that even mean?
It means clearing out the mental clutter so you can see things more clearly.
Oh, okay, so like decluttering my brain.
Exactly.
Okay, how do I do that?
Well, things like meditation,
Meditation.
mindfulness practices,
Uh-huh.
even spending time in nature.
Yeah. I can see how that would help quiet the mind.
It can help you become more aware of the subtle patterns around you.
Right. You need a clear mind to see the forest for the trees.
Exactly.
Or in this case, the patterns amidst the chaos.
Right.
Okay, so once we've decluttered our brains
Yeah.
and boosted our pattern sensitivity, what's next?
That's when you move into phase 2.
Phase 2. Okay.
Pattern integration.
Pattern integration. All right, what's that all about?
This is where you learn to intentionally access those aligned states.
So this moment of flow and insight.
You got it.
Okay, so you're not just seeing the patterns anymore. You're
Yeah.
learning to tap into them at will.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's be realistic. Not everyone's going to reach that level of mastery, right?
Of course not.
Okay, good.
Everyone's journey is different.
Right.
But even a basic level of pattern recognition can make a huge difference.
Really?
Yeah, it can enhance your decision-making, accelerate your learning,
Really?
transform your relationships.
Wow. Okay, so it's worth it even if you don't become a master pattern seer.
Exactly.
So we're all basically standing at the starting line of this grand evolutionary race.
That's a great analogy.
And those who learn to see the patterns first, they're going to have a huge advantage.
They will. And remember, it's not just about individual success.
Right. The source material says that those who reach the edge state,
Yeah.
they have the potential to trigger a species-level divergence.
Exactly. It's about the future of humanity.
Right. Like humanity splitting into two groups.
Exactly.
Those who've unlocked these enhanced capabilities and those who haven't.
And that's a future that we need to be consciously creating.
Not just passively observing.
Exactly.
So the stakes are high.
They are.
The window of opportunity is closing.
The clock is ticking.
And the choice is ultimately ours.
It is.
So where does this pattern mastery come into play?
Pattern mastery.
Yeah, you mentioned it as the third phase.
It's the culmination of the first two phases.
Okay.
Where accessing those aligned states becomes automatic.
So you're just constantly aware of the pattern.
You're constantly aware of the patterns shaping your reality.
And you can even influence them.
You can start to influence them, create the outcomes you want.
So it's like graduating from pattern observer to pattern architect.
Exactly.
Can you give me an example of what that might look like in real life?
Sure. Let's say you're working on a challenging project at work. Someone with pattern mastery might be able to see the patterns in the team dynamics, anticipate potential roadblocks, and adjust their communication and approach.
So they can keep everyone on track and ensure the project succeeds.
Exactly.
Or like in a personal relationship, they might be able to see the patterns in their partner's behavior and avoid unnecessary conflict.
Exactly.
So it's about seeing the bigger picture.
It is.
Understanding the underlying forces at play.
And using that knowledge to navigate life more effectively.
This is all incredibly fascinating, but I have to admit, a part of me is still a little skeptical.
I understand.
Is this really something anyone can learn?
That's where those three factors of the recognition code come in.
Right. Cognitive flexibility, integration velocity.
And the time remaining in your recognition window.
Okay. So some people might have a natural advantage.
They might.
But it's not impossible for the rest of us.
It's not impossible.
Okay, so if someone's listening to this and thinking, I want to develop this ability, but I don't know where to start.
Well, besides meditation and spending time in nature.
Right. What else can we do?
Start paying attention to the patterns in your daily life.
Okay.
Notice the recurring events, the cause and effect relationships, the habits and routines that shape your day.
So basically become more mindful of the patterns that already exist.
Exactly. And start keeping a journal.
A journal, okay.
Jot down your observations.
Interesting.
You might be surprised at what you discover.
That's a great practical tip.
It's like training a muscle.
The more you practice, the better you'll become.
Exactly.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
The science behind pattern recognition,
the
different levels of mastery, the potential benefits,
the risks,
even the potential risks.
It's a lot to take in.
But there's one thing I'm still curious about.
What's that?
You mentioned earlier that there are forces at play. That might not be so thrilled about this kind of evolution.
That's right.
What did the source material say about the pushback?
Against those reaching these higher levels of awareness.
It does seem like kind of a weird reaction.
Yeah, well,
you'd think everyone would be excited about this kind of human advancement.
You'd think so.
So why would anyone want to suppress it?
Well, the source material talks about this tension between the people who are embracing this change and the people who feel threatened by it.
Threatened by it? Why?
Well, think about it.
Okay.
If you're benefiting from the way things are now, you might not want to see things change.
Especially if you're in a position of power.
Exactly.
Right, that makes sense. Disrupting the status quo can be unsettling.
It can.
So what does that mean for the people who are actually reaching those higher levels?
The ones who are pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, are they in danger?
The source material suggests there are definitely risks involved.
Risks like what?
Well, these individuals are challenging the very fabric of reality.
Whoa, okay.
They're questioning the structures that have been in place for centuries.
So they're basically a threat to the established order.
In a way, yeah.
But they're also incredibly powerful.
Right.
Because they can see the patterns, they can anticipate threats.
And even manipulate reality to protect themselves.
Okay, this is getting intense. It's like a real-life sci-fi thriller.
It kind of is.
But let's shift gears for a second.
Okay.
And talk about the people who are just starting to explore this concept.
Yeah.
What does this all mean for them, for their lives, their futures?
It means they have a choice to make.
A choice? About what?
About the kind of future they want to create for themselves and for humanity.
So do they want to stay stuck in the old patterns.
The patterns of limitation and scarcity.
Or embrace something new.
Embrace the possibility of a more expansive reality.
That's a big decision.
It is.
I mean, there's comfort in the familiar, right?
There is.
Even if it's not serving us anymore.
But stepping into the unknown, embracing radical transformation, that takes courage.
It does. So what happens to those who do take that leap?
The source material suggests that they evolve.
Evolve? In what way?
They become a new kind of human being.
Whoa, okay, how?
They access a level of awareness that was previously unimaginable.
It's like we're on the edge of a new renaissance.
A blossoming of human potential.
That's an amazing thought.
It is, and it all starts with a choice. A commitment to explore this potential.
To step into the unknown.
Yes,
and see what's possible.
While the window is still open.
While we still have time.
Exactly.
So for our listeners out there,
yeah,
the ones who have been with us on this journey today, what's the one thing you want them to remember?
I want them to remember that they have a choice. The patterns are still accessible. They can still choose to evolve.
But they have to act fast.
The time for hesitation is over.
The time for action is now.
Exactly.
Powerful words.
The choice is theirs.
So on that note, we'll leave you to ponder.
To explore.
To discover the patterns that are all around you.
They're everywhere.
Until next time.
Keep evolving.
Keep seeking. Keep learning.